In this lesson, we will work on creating joints for the robot's arms. So getting started, again, we should look for the point in the model where there's a slight bend in the arm, and that will give us an idea as to how to create our chain. That way, when we add inverse kinematics, the chain will move properly once we start to transform the IK handle, and this will all make sense shortly. So here's what we'll do. We'll go ahead and grab our joint tool. We could always kind of snap to grid if we'd like. You can see how the grid is pretty small. Let me go ahead and show you a trick. You can go to display and go to your grid, head over to your options, and you can actually change your settings here. So you can see how small the grid is, right? Well, there's no reason why we can't go in and increase this number here. So I might go ahead and multiply by 100. So instead of 12, we can go ahead and set this to 1200 and 500 for our grid line parameter. Now when we click apply and close, take a look. It's a little bit more ideal, right? So now we can go in and kind of snap our chain to this grid, and then we can start to move it in place. So just go ahead and hold down the X key, snap, snap, and snap. Fantastic. So from there, we can now start to kind of move this up inside of the model. Let's go ahead and bring this over to the shoulder. Now remember, we know that we can use the LRA handle tied to the object to snap this over, but let me go ahead and show you another way. We could actually use a constraint. So if we were to go ahead and grab the object that we'd like to align the position of this object to, and then if we were to shift select the object to align, we can then come down to our mail command line and we can type in the following. It's a really basic line of code. So we'll type delete, and then we'll add a space. We'll add 2 tick marks. These marks are found above the tab key. Now inside of the tick marks, we'll go ahead and type point, lowercase p, and then capital C for constraint. When we hit enter on our number pad, take a look. Maya has applied a point constraint, meaning it has taken the position of this object and has snapped it over to this object, but then it has removed the point constraint afterwards. So that's another way we can align objects. From here, what I'd like to do is go ahead and start adjusting the orientation. Let's go ahead and jump to our attribute editor, and we could start to kind of swing this around. Let's say on our y-axis, we'll go ahead and bring this over. You can see we need to bring the elbow in, but we'll worry about that shortly. Let's go ahead and fix the y-axis, and now we can start to bring this down in the z-axis. Sweet. So from here, let's say we go ahead and grab the forearm, grab our move tool, and we'll move this locally of the arm. So again, one thing to check for is your move tool setting. Let's go ahead and make sure it's set to local. Again, we go to axis, local. Now we can go ahead and translate this up. Fantastic. We can go back to the shoulder and we can start to bring this back in the z-axis. Wonderful. We can then go back to the forearm and let's go ahead and start bringing this back in the y-axis. Another thing you could do is go ahead and take a look at your value to see if you can put in a value that would get you really close. Now you don't want to zero this out because that's going to straighten out this chain entirely, and that's going to be a problem for inverse kinematics, so you have to be really careful about that. We just want a slight bend. Sweet! So you can see it's just a matter of going back and forth between the shoulder and the forearm, and then eventually we'll tweak the last joint here to make sure it's about centered between the claws. Wonderful. Alright, so I'd say we're super close. We're almost there. Fantastic. I'll go back to the forearm and bring that back in the y-axis, and now we can take the end joint, and here's a trick. You can see how your end joint is normally oriented to the world, right? If you would like to have it match the parent's orientation, just go ahead and zero out the joint orient channels. Fantastic. So sometimes you have to do that just to make sure that the joint will be oriented properly. So I'll just go ahead and move this up locally. That looks great. Fantastic. So once we've managed to do that, we then want to make sure that the elbow here is truly aligned to the center point of our elbow geometry. Again, just so that as we start to bend the elbow, it will bend properly. So in this case, it might be best to go ahead and work with our LRA tool. That way we can use the D key to snap to the pivot of this object. So I'll just go ahead and turn on the LRA. I'll go ahead and make sure that the handle is visible. Let's go to wireframe mode. Fantastic. So now it's a matter of grabbing the joint. We can then go ahead and go to the show menu, hide polygons. We'll hold down the D key and the V key, and we'll middle mouse button drag to snap this joint over. And we're good to go. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and bring back our polygons. Let's go ahead and press the 6 key as well to view the texture. We'll go ahead and select our elbow geometry and hide the LRA. Fantastic. So once we've done this, it's just a matter of renaming our joints now. Let's go ahead and name this first one Bind L Shoulder 01. We can then go ahead and copy this name, grab the forearm, paste, and we'll get that renamed to Bind L Forearm 01. How about this last joint? Well, we could always rename this one to, let's say, BE for bone end, L, wrist, 01. Fantastic. So now we can go ahead and take the shoulder and we can mirror this across. So let's go ahead and grab our mirroring tool. The settings are already good to go. So you can see that everything has been renamed. And when we grab, let's say, both shoulders, you can see as we start to rotate locally, we get a mirroring effect. Fantastic. This is looking great. Let's go ahead and check our outliner. Go ahead and jump to the outliner. We'll grab the two shoulders. Let's go ahead and store them underneath the joints group. So we'll go ahead and parent them there. Fantastic. And that is going to be it for this lesson. So let's say we go ahead and do this. In the next lesson, we'll work on controlling our robot's arms.